Hello, this is Jamie Maggart. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. And let's bring in our supplies. I'm using the Let's Set Sail stamp set. This for the sentiment. You could use the sails as well if you wanted, but I'm just going to be using this sailboat builder punch that coordinates with that. I'm bringing in Majestic Mountain for some clouds, and basic borders dies. I'm using this die to do all the rest of the background here. And then this is the second from the smallest of the layering circles dies that I'm going to use to cut out the sentiment. Move these aside. Okay, I have a card base, which is thick white, which is 5.5 by 8.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. I have a piece of layering white, or basic white, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5. Then I have a bunch of scraps. I have a piece of black. There's a couple of white, one for the sentiment and one for the... I probably only need one of them, but I have an extra just in case. I have a Pacific Point. Now most of these are 2 1/4 inches or close to 2 1/4 inches by 5.5. It doesn't need to be 5.5, but I want to give myself leeway so I can move them back and forth to vary where the bumps and that hit. So I've got Pacific Point. There's 2 Night of Navy. One's a little bit smaller. That one's for the horizon line one. There's 2 of Balmy Blue, and this one is like 1 1/4 inches, and that's for the very top of the card. I have Calypso Coral. I have Crushed Curry and Magenta Madness. Okay, so let's bring in the die cutting machine, and I'll show you how we're going to go about doing this. Plates, base plate, a cutting plate. Now when you put it down, if you push on it like this and it bows, turn it over. That'll help keeping them from warping as badly. Okay, now I'm going to bring in one of these pieces and my die. Now the pink one, I want the cloud part, so I'm going to go ahead and put the, I'm out of frame, I'm going to go ahead and put the die on so the most of it is at the bottom, because I want the clouds. I don't want what's left over, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on my plate. Doesn't have to be perfect. Top plate on, and run it through the machine. Okay, there we go. Just had to get it started. Okay, so we end up with 2 pieces. This piece here is the negative, but if you turn it over, it kind of looks like waves. So for the blue pieces, I use this side. For the sky pieces, the sunset type pieces, I use the cloudy side. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut all of those pieces. And each one's going to be a little bit different. That's fine. Let's do more of this. Let's go this way a little bit. I don't want it to totally spin though. Okay. Okay, so I want this piece. This piece is scrap. Now let's do the Crushed Curry one, same way. it on there, start it through. Okay, I need that piece, this piece of scrap. Okay, now for the other pieces, we're going to be using the other side. So we want the negative part of it. So we want the cloud part to be, let me think, I want to put it this way, because I want the choppy part to be up. I think that's right. Well, let's double check. We want this part so we want it to be put lower. That's what we want to do, like that. Okay, so we'll put the top plate on. Make sure it's staying on your piece. Run them through. Sorry if that was confusing. But we want the negative part this time. Okay, so that brings the bubbles and that brings the negative. We need this piece this time. Okay, so we're going to do that again for this wider of the blue. Put it down towards the bottom. Actually, I want to cut that part off because I don't like that part. Just a couple more pieces left. That piece, this piece is scrap. This one here, I just have one more to do. Alright. That was weird. Let's try that again. I was feeding the bottom plate through, but the top plate wasn't going. It must be I didn't have it lined up right. There we go. Alright, we need this piece. And this piece is scrap. Okay, I think we've got all of those pieces cut out. Let's put this aside for a minute. Let's do our only bit of stamping. And, oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Oh. Alright, now let's take the Memento black ink. I'm going to stamp the Adventure Awaits. Make sure I got it inked up well. Okay. And I'm going to take this die, I'm going to center it up, and I'm going to cut this out. Check every time to see if it's bowing at all. If it's bowing, then I'm going to turn my plate over. Alright, we're done with our die cutting. Put that away. Put this away so I don't lose it. And we'll move the dies so I don't lose them. Okay, now we can start assembling this card. I'm going to bring in my sailboat punch. I'm going to punch it once with the white. And I just need this sail part, so if it doesn't fit the whole thing, that's fine. I just need the 2 sails. Okay, look at that, it fit anyway. And then I'm going to need the boat part of it. And I need 2 of those. Turn it around. Okay, so now we're going to bring in these other pieces, and our 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of white. First thing I'm going to do is adhere this little 1 1/4 inch strip of balmy blue up here at the top. Come on. It is going to be longer than the card, so we'll just have to go and trim them all off at the end. That's fine. I did that on purpose, and I'll show you why here in a second. Alright, I'm going to trim this now because there's a lot of yucky glue on there. I'm going to use a different pair of scissors than I normally do. There we go. I just trimmed that into my garbage so I didn't have that sticky glue on my table. Alright. That's the top. So now the top layer is going to be this pink one. The Magenta Madness. We're going to figure out where we want to put those clouds. We're going to go ahead and adhere them down. And anything goes, doesn't have to be, you know, I'm just putting it down. I think I want it up a little higher, so push it up a little more. Then we're going to come in with the Calypso coral layer. And I'm going to shift it this way a little so that they don't line up exactly. Okay. And I'm going to do this layer, crushed curry. I'm going to shift it over this way. That's why I left them longer. You'll see this one's almost to the edge. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to come in with this straight one. I'm going to figure out where I want my horizon line to be. I'm going to go ahead and put that down. So you want your horizon to be straight. Well, if you don't have strong scissors, you might want to be trimming these as you go. Okay, then I'm going to come in with the navy layer and go ahead and put that down. Pacific point layer. And again, I'm going to move them so those waves don't match up. And now the very last layer. And put it somewhere in the middle. Okay. Now, let's bring in our die cutting machine, or trimmer, excuse me. And I got glue on my table, so let me just wipe that off. And I'm going to actually wipe some of this glue off the back of this so it don't get it all over everything. Okay, I'm going to line this up with the edge of my trimmer. I'm going to go ahead and cut. And this blade cuts through multiple layers, but you might have to go through again. So I'll go ahead and there we go. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So this time I'm going to line it up with 4 1/4 inches. Okay, so I've got that all trimmed out. Goes this way. Alright. Now if it was longer, you know, if you went past the bottom, you would trim it there as well. Okay, now I'm going to bring in these boat pieces. I'm going to actually figure out where I want one of my boat to be. And I'm going to glue the boat part right to the card. I guess I wanted a boat there. Okay, and I'm going to take the one sail, the longer sail, and I'm going to put that here. On this side. I'm going to take the other sail. I'm going to put dimensional down here. Figure out which way it goes so I don't put it on the wrong side. And I'm going to put a little wet glue on the top. Or you could use a glue dot there, that would be good. Tapped off just a little, it was a little too much. And I'm going to go ahead and put this one on. And I'm going to take another one of these masts. And I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to go ahead and use my sticky scissors. I'm going to trim just a little bit of the edge. I'm going to put that on there. Make sure you've got it going the right way, because you could do that, accidentally put it on wrong. I'm going to take just a tiny bit more. Do like a half of a mini dimensional, but I'm just taking a little sliver, put up here on this. I'm going to match that up here. Oops, it would help if I took the backing off, wouldn't it? Okay, there's that part. Alright, now the ventured weights. Turn that over. I'm going to put a couple dimensionals on the back of it. Oh, I got a stubborn hair that's sticking to me. I'm going to put this here. Okay, I have my horizon a little higher on this card, but then I'm going to bring in my clouds. Where did they go? Oh, they're still on my magnet board. Okay, and I'm going to put one dimensional in the center of each one of these on the back. One of these is going to go up here. One of them is going to go over here, hanging off a little bit. Another one's going to go over here. Let's make it a little different. Okay, and then I'm going to take these scissors, I'm going to turn it over, I'm going to snip that off. Now I'm going to bring in my gingham ribbon. Figure out how long of a piece I need, about like that. Yeah, this is why. You use sticky scissors for sticky things because it will not cut ribbon then. Okay, I'll turn it over. I'm going to bring in a glue dot. Well, that one's completely empty. Let's bring in another roll. Glue dot on this end as well. Okay, figure out where I want it. Right about there, I think. Wrap it around the back and tack it on. You could use tape for that as well. I've done that before. And then I'm going to just take another little piece. And I'm going to tie a knot. Trim this a little bit more. Okay. And then I'm going to mount this to the front of my card. It's going to be a little bit of a heavier card because you've got all those different layers of paper on there. You could do it with stencil as well if you want. But I just wanted to try it with the paper. I kind of liked it. Alright, there we go. There's a card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.